I think I'm on the right page. I apologize. I'm all new at this. I can Zoom like crazy. But Partners in Learning, no, I'm already here for you. But this is not my gift on Facebook, so I'm gonna do what I can. I think I have started over here. So let's see. Um, Let me see. Oh, I see one person on there. Okay, maybe eventually we'll get this. Let me see if I can come here and try one thing. See if we are live. I mean, I think we're live as far as I can tell. Woohoo! Oh, no, not anymore. Oh, yay! All right, excellent. I'm going to start over. I'm so sorry. I hope that y'all were able to connect. I was having some technical difficulties over here on my end. I had to, unfortunately, switch the user something or other. I don't even know what. But so I can't share my screen, so I apologize for that. But let me try one more time to share it over here. Oops. Oh, at least can get some. No, you really can't. Okay, that's okay. Maybe I could call in a friend in a minute. But for now, we'll just keep going. Actually, I only have one other person here. I think I only have one person live. So while we're waiting for everybody to join on here, I'm going to grab a chair to put my thing on. No, not gonna work. Not long enough.
If you unplug the monitor.
Yeah, but I need to be able to see it. Okay. All right, let's see how many people we got on here. I am live. If you are logged on and you can see me now, can you go ahead and push the I'm here button? I got my helper.
Tech support.
Tech support.
Moral support.
Moral support. A little bit of everything.
Immoral support.
Immoral support. Hey, whatever you got.
Not judging.
We're not judges over here. Okay. So we'll see if this works. And if not, it's okay. But he'll work in the background while we're trying to figure this out. So in the meantime, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Jess Kelly. I'm the owner of an instructor for Signs of Learning. I teach American Sign Language to babies and families. Yeah, I'm not sure that that's gonna. Got it. At the angle, you can see it a little better. Other angle. Oh yeah, there you go. Maybe. Maybe not. It's okay. It's all good. We'll just get through it without. You can look at my face instead of my. Thank you. I appreciate the assistance. Yeah, we had to switch over to a different version of Facebook or something. I don't know, the Facebook Live thing, and that apparently does not have the share screen capabilities. Oops, I gotta plug this back in. Sorry, everybody, pushing it in the wrong place. Tell me I didn't just close it. Okay, good. Woo! Okay, you disappeared on me. Okay, so I have my bachelor's in speech pathology and audiology. When I was getting that degree, I worked at Maryland School for the Deaf, and that's where I really fell in love with the language and started signing for real. I mean, actually understanding the language. So let me move this thing over this way. I love technology. It's amazing we can do all these things, but sometimes creates a bit of a trouble. Okay, so I'm gonna move this over here. Now I think we're all set up. Okay, so I got my master's in spirituality, worked as a campus minister for a couple of years, moved down to North Carolina when I was looking for a job in ministry with the deaf to kind of combine my two passions. There's not many paid positions for that sort of thing, so so I was looking through the papers and I saw a family that wanted a nanny, and they wanted someone who knew sign language. I was like, I love kids, I need a job, I know sign language. So I started working with her when she was 6 months old. By the time she was 10 months old, I finally wrote down all the signs that she knew, and she could understand over 100 signs, and could sign back over 50. Now, some of those were approximations, right? So if this is the sign for horse, she'd kind of do this, but I knew what she was saying. And so she could communicate really, really clearly, and her parents were so excited with her development and her communicating that they're like, you've got to teach this to other people. This is too cool. So that's when I looked into signing with hearing children and started my business shortly thereafter, Signs of Learning. So that's me. Quick story. I have 2 children. I said that on the other one, but I didn't say it here. A 11-year-old now and a 7-year-old, both who were amazing signers when they were babies. They both started signing at 5.5 months. It's just because I started at birth and just signed consistently. They were, my oldest was like fluent, like she could communicate very easily with a deaf person when she was 2. So, excuse me. So that's me. So I've been signing for over 20 years. I've had my business, actually much over 25 years. I've had my business now for 15 years in Raleigh. Anyway, so I'm going to attempt, I'm going to attempt to see your comments and stuff as we go. I will do my best to answer as many comments as possible. Somebody Amy, feel free to text me if I'm missing anything important. Okay. Okay. So what we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna talk about the benefits of signing with children. We're gonna talk in young babies and children in general. We're gonna sing a couple signs to make signing fun. We'll have I'll teach you some tips and techniques for introducing the signs. We'll talk about the 6 stages of signing. I'll show you lots of signs themselves, and the handouts I think will be posted here as well. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments section. I'm going to do my best to get over there. Again, this is not my gift, but we're going to do our best. Again, I'm used to the back and forth, so any back and forth you can give me will really help. And I love answering your questions, so if you have specific questions, please feel free to write those as well. Okay. Okay. So I'd say introduce yourselves, but I'm not sure how that exactly works out there. If you want to put in the comments who you are and what you do, just so I have a little bit of an idea of who I have with me, maybe the age population that you work with, and what you have going on out there. And yeah, so then we'll keep going from there. Maybe I'll see your comments in a moment. First, we're going to start with a song just to sort of loosen up. I got to get back to myself, okay? So we're going to sign The More We Get Together. And this is just some basic signs involved in this song. Okay, so we have the sign for more. You take your fingertips, flat little O's, and you tap them together like this. More. So the more we get together, put your fists together like this and move around in a circle. The happier we'll be. So it's like your spirits are being lifted. You're happy. And then yours, this is the flat hand toward the person whom you're speaking is the possessive yours, as opposed to a flat hand to yourself is mine, right? You is a pointer finger and me is a pointer finger, but mine and yours, okay? So my friends and your friends, 2 pointer fingers, make them hug back and forth like friends. Because your friends are my friends and my friends are your friends. And the more we get together, the happier we'll be. Okay, are you ready? Everybody sing with me. The more we get together, together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. 'Cause your friends are my friends and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, the happier we'll be. Hooray! Good job. Nice work. Okay, so just a good song to get you loosened up. We're going to talk about why sign with young children. So I'm going to go through all those benefits individually. The biggest benefit is communication, right? Being able to communicate to a child before they can speak, after they can speak, basically just being able to communicate to a child. The reason that a child can sign before they can speak is that the gross motor skills of their arms, all of our arms and legs, develop before the fine motor skills that are required for speech, right? So I can squeeze my fist like this. I'll try and put it in front of my shirt. Squeeze my fist like this and say milk way before I can say that word with my mouth because of those fine motor skills that are involved in speech. But you can squeeze your fist much earlier. So again, communication, right? That's why they can communicate early. And when they can do that, they can express their needs, their daily needs, their medical needs. danger situations. For example, my sister was playing in the backyard with her kids. Well, she was in the screened-in porch, and her kids were in the backyard playing in the fenced area. And my niece ran up to my sister and was like, "Mommy, mommy, neigh, neigh, neigh." And my sister was like, "Are you playing horsey?" She's like, "Neigh, neigh." So this is the sign for snake. So my nephew was chasing a cottonmouth snake around, which is not a good idea. So she was at least able to communicate a little bit more quickly because she was able to sign it, just because of our articulation issues, which she was like 13 months, so we're totally normal. The signing helped her to communicate that need. She also had a lot of she had a lot of ear infections. So she would sign that her ears hurt. And she actually eventually got tubes because she was in a lot of pain all the time. And she was so much in pain that she got the tubes. The doctors did the tubes. A little while later, she kept signing that her ears hurt. Again, I can't look at myself. This is so weird. I need to talk to other people. But so she was signing that her ears hurt after she got the tubes done. And the doctor's like, no, she's just so used to signing. She's just used to it. But sure enough, she went in and she had double ear infection. I don't know how that works with tubes, but either way, she was able to communicate, again, her daily medical needs. When you can sign with your child, they can express their preferences. A lot of kids will fall out if they get the purple cup and they wanted the blue cup, or they wanted the elephant and they got the giraffe. So if they can't communicate those preferences, they don't always get what they wanted. And signing can really help with that as well. When a person can sign, they can express their interest as well, right? Which leads to positive interaction. So the little girl that I nannied, she loved airplanes, and she lived near the airport. I didn't hear the airplanes anymore because they were always there, but she knew little ears, heard every single one. So she would sign airplane every time she heard it. She would sign it like this. She was little. So airplane is a thumb, a pointer, and a pinky, and it flies through the air. That's airplane. She would go, "Ping." So I started getting books about airplanes. We went to the observation deck at the airport, all those kinds of things. So it led to positive interaction for her, and that she was able to control those interactions. And also, the biggest benefit I think most people join in signing for is that it helps to reduce frustration for both the child and the adult. When a child can sign, the adult responds quickly, and generally meets that need or gives them what they want, or at least acknowledges the desire. It reduces the guessing game for the parent or adult in a situation. It's like, are you hungry? Are you tired? Did you poop? What do you want? So it reduces that guessing game. And there are studies that are showing that there are fewer instances of biting and screaming in childcare facilities that incorporate American Sign Language as well. And again, I think that's a major communication issue, right? So if a child's going to act out when they don't get what they want, but also and especially act out even more when you don't know what they want. So that communication barrier leads to a lot of tantrums. So signing can help to reduce those as well. It also assists in the classroom, like with classroom management kind of skills for a teacher, either a small setting or one-on-one or a large setting as well. So visual cues are very helpful in general for a lot of kids. So you could say, "Hey, Johnny, sit down. Johnny, sit down. Johnny, sit down." Nothing, but you could say, "Johnny, sit down." And that simple visual cue will kind of trigger their brains to follow along. So that can really be beneficial. It's also nice to discreetly communicate sometimes. Like if a kid keeps getting up and down and up and down and you're not interrupting the class the whole time, to say, "Johnny, sit down. Johnny, sit down." You can just say, "Johnny." Or just sit while you make eye contact, even you don't even have to call them out. Or if a kid has to go to the bathroom, they can sign potty. So it's the letter T. It's the letter T, and you just give it a shake, give it a wiggle. That's toilet or potty or bathroom. And then the sign for sit down, and we'll go over all of these, is 2 fingers, both palms facing down. It's like a little finger sitting on top of a little bench. And then pay attention. So this is like bring your attention to me. Or if you want them to pay attention to the work, you go towards the work, or whatever you want them to pay attention to. If somebody's over there and you want them to pay attention over there, you say pay attention. Okay, so I am not seeing any comments, and that's fine with me. I just want to make sure that there aren't actually any comments coming through. Let me know if not, if you're trying to comment and I'm not responding. Okay. Another big benefit is that it helps to strengthen a parent-child bond or an adult-child bond, and enhances that child's self-esteem. So I don't know about you, but if you've ever been to a foreign country and you don't know the language, you can't communicate with the people there, it makes life tricky, right? And it gets hard to communicate. When you can't communicate, it gets really hard to bond with someone. I had one dad come back to me after he took our classes and said, I have 2 children. I love my children with all my heart. I felt so much more connected to my second child. He said, I didn't sign before, so I didn't have I didn't have much communication with my oldest. But my youngest, he said, we came to the class and I learned to sign. And he said, I felt so much more connected to my youngest child because of the signing. He's like, we could bond a lot more. He's like, I was paying attention to him and his communication skills a lot more. So I think that that's definitely true, not just for dads, but that was just a story. I think that's true for all of us as well. And when a child can communicate and they get responded to, they feel heard, they feel important, they feel loved. I mean, I know that's true for me. If I'm trying to communicate something and I can't seem to get it out there, or at least nobody's responding or hearing what I'm saying, that's frustrating, right? So when I'm finally able to communicate something to somebody and I get responded to, I feel better about myself. I feel heard, I feel confident, I feel loved. So I think that's true for little people too. And I think little people become leaders among their community when they do have that confidence and know that they can essentially get what they want. I went into a preschool where I was just checking out the place, just observing, and there's one little boy who knew sign language, and he really ruled the roost in that place. He was able to get what he wanted essentially, so that he'd go over and he'd ask for crayons, or he'd say he wanted a cookie, and the other kids were like, I want a cookie. So they'd like follow him around. So he became a little leader in the community. So I do think that it helps to enhance self-esteem as well as that parent or adult-child bond. So studies show that children who sign speak sooner and have larger vocabularies than children who don't sign. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, and we'll go into those reasons in a minute. But when you're teaching a child to sign, they're learning early on about symbolic language. They're learning that something can be represented by something else. So this water can be represented by the symbol or sign water, right? So they're making that connection in their brain way earlier than most people. And that's a really important aspect of acquiring language. We'll see more about that in a minute, but especially expressive language. Okay, please feel free to ask questions as we go if anybody has any. Okay, so when you're signing with a child, it helps both the expressive and receptive skills. They're both enhanced. It gives the child a basic foundation of language, right? So they understand that they can put words together to communicate, to convey a message or a meaning of some sort. Even if they're not communicating verbally, they're communicating in American Sign Language. So they're learning that back and forth of language. They're learning that they can make requests and get responded to. Does that make sense? Everybody give me like a little thumbs up if that makes sense, that they're learning those basic language skills super early on. Okay, I'm going to keep going because I don't see any comments. Well, that's a pinned comment maybe. Yep, no, okay. So another big benefit is American Sign Language, or sign language in general, can serve as thank you. So sign language can serve as a bridge to communication. So while they're learning to speak, it's helpful to be able to, again, to have that bridge to communication. Even if they can't speak verbally, they can still communicate. So while they're learning to communicate, it helps to make that bridge. And also, if they're learning 2 different languages, having that one common symbol can really make a big difference. So let's say mom speaks Spanish, dad speaks English, and they're trying to help the child learn 2 languages. If say mom says leche and signs milk, and dad says milk and signs milk, that child will learn to connect those 2 languages because of that one common symbol. Does that make sense? So learning 2 languages sometimes it delays language slightly in that they're learning how to figure it out and speak the 2 different languages at the same time. But but it is so good for them. It's so good for them to have two spoken languages. It can really help to, again, build that basis or that foundation of language. So, and adding sign language to that can also help, because it, again, connects the two different languages and can help them. It sort of works in a different part of the brain than spoken language, but still can make a big difference that way. It allows for successful communication. When a child can sign and can communicate, they're successful. And that means so much, right? That's our main goal, is for children to be able to communicate and to feel successful. That's what's going to help them continue to be motivated to keep learning, right? So, so we want them to be successful. And when their frustration is reduced, that leads to success, right? So even if they can't do it perfectly, but they were able to communicate, they understand that my communication can get a response. And again, there's that back and forth of language. So they have, even if they aren't speaking yet, whether it's because of a speech delay or they're little, they're still getting experience with language, even if they can't speak it. So if they're not signing at all, they're not getting that experience with language. So that's how I think sign language can be very beneficial in general. One of the big reasons why I think it helps with language and vocabulary, oh goodness, my daughter's vocabulary was insane. She had so much vocabulary when she was little, and still does. So she started reading when she was 3. She could read. She was reading the simple but chapter books, and that was because I like taught her how to read. We read a lot, like all the time, but I think what happened was she was so good at making the connection between the symbol and the sign. She understood that things can be represented by something else. So when we had this like play mat that had letters on it. So we'd sing little songs and make the sounds of all the letters and things like that. And so she understood that symbol, that letter B on the ground, was represented by the sound B, or vice versa. It represented the sound B. So she made that connection early on, and it just made her reading go so much more easily. I really didn't even teach anything at all. She picked it up pretty quickly. So when you're signing with a child, with a hearing child, with a deaf child, there's a little bit of a tweak here, but when you're signing with a hearing child, there are various learning styles that are being addressed. They're using various learning styles. So a visual learner, clearly, they're seeing the bottle and they're seeing the sign. So they're taking information in visually. Auditory learners, if you're a hearing child at least, hopefully you're going to be saying the word and signing the word so that they learn both the spoken word as well as the signed word. So they're taking information in through their ears. And then kinesthetically, once a child starts to sign themselves, they're learning kinesthetically through their own movement, through their own touch. So they're holding the bottle of water and they're signing water. I'm just grabbing what's near me here. Or they, again, my kids would practice their spelling words using the manual alphabet, and that using their hands helps them to remember and process and learn a little bit better. So also reading books, there's studies that show that reading comprehension skills of children who sign is heightened because of the signing. So, and I think, like again, both my kids absolutely love to read, and they were more engaged in the book if we were signing, because they could sign along with the book, right? So there's active engagement as well, instead of just passive listening. As well as when they're signing themselves, they're taking that information in as well. So if they were signing along with me, say there's a story about a dog. So dog is, I gotta stand up, here's my leg. So you snap and double tap. So you're reading a story about a dog who meets a cat and they go for a swim. I think I used this last time. It's a terrible example for a book. I don't write books. But if they're signing along, they'll sign dog, they'll sign cat, and they'll sign swim. So they'll remember the order of events better because they were singing too, but signing along with you. It will help them as well that way kinesthetically. So when you had all these different sort of modes of input, right? You have the visual stuff, the auditory stuff, the kinesthetic stuff. That really helps to stimulate the brain, right? there are more synapses happening across hemispheres of the brain, increasing their brain activity so the child has more opportunities to process and remember and learn. Okay, another big benefit is just communication in general, right? Communication with others. So families with pre-verbal children or verbal children even, with the deaf community, obviously it's so what I'm going to teach you on is American Sign Language signs. I'm teaching you American Sign Language signs. American Sign Language is a whole language. There is a lot that goes on just like any other language. There's syntax, all of it. So keep that in mind. What I'm teaching you are the signs, and those are a great way to start, right? So to start with the words, but just keep in mind that it's a whole language, and there's a lot more that goes into it. What I'm going to teach you is the American Sign Language signs. Some of those signs that I'm going to show you there are regional signs, just like if I were to go to Philly, I'd order a hoagie, but here I'd order what do I order? I don't know. Sub. I still call it a hoagie. But if you go to the Midwest, it's a grinder, right? So like there are some words are like pop, soda, Coke, those kind of things. Depending on where you are, the word is a little different. The same is true for signing. There are many regional signs that are all correct, but overall, it's a pretty standardized language. But what I'm teaching you is the language of the deaf. The people who are deaf use American Sign Language. That is their language. The deaf community developed it, and that's really the best way for the deaf community, deaf kids, deaf people to learn language is through American Sign Language. We hearing people trying to shove signed exact English on them, which the idea was to help them learn to read and connect in the world of English speakers and writers. And while the effort was nice, it wasn't as helpful for them. So using American Sign Language, which is more of a conceptual language and not exactly like a word for word kind of thing, it helped them be able to pick up the language better. We'll just leave it there. Okay, so benefits communicating with families when they're little. Obviously, the deaf community uses American Sign Language to communicate. Pardon for the noise. I keep kicking my recycle bin that fell over under my table. So it's a primary language for the deaf community. Children and adults with special needs use American Sign Language or sign language to communicate. And that really empowers them to express themselves and communicate with others and make connections, which is so important in life, right? As we know right now, this is a crazy time and it's really hard not to be near people, at least for me. I know maybe not for all, but it is wonderful to have all this technology. Anyway, but when a person can be empowered to communicate and connect with others, it makes a big difference. And using American Sign Language creates an educational environment where all children can successfully learn and socialize no matter what special needs they may have. So it really is awesome to see kids connecting, some with special needs, connecting with other kids in general, through sign language. That communication is just so important. And American Sign Language is a commonly used language in the United States. There's lots of people, everybody from interpreters to teachers to early intervention specialists, obviously the deaf community, that use American Sign Language. And that's why I use American Sign Language. There are some programs out there that change some of the signs to be easier for babies to do. They modify the signs. And the goal was good. The goal was to be able to, again, make it easier for babies to do. So if a child would typically sign, let me see. So more is like this, but some babies will sign more like this to start. So one program decided that this was going to be the sign for more, which again, their goal was great. But so some of the signs that they made up or modified, I guess, were actually offensive in American Sign Language. So the tamest of all, I'll tell you, the tamest one. So the sign for apple in American Sign Language is like this, where you take that first knuckle and you sort of twist it into the side of your cheek. That's the sign for apple. In American Sign Language, well, yes, American Sign Language, that's the sign for apple. Babies will it's hard. They can't do that, right? They can't do that twisting motion. So they'll just kind of do this, right? And that'll be their sign for apple. So baby signs was like, oh, well, that's what babies do. We'll just make that the sign for apple. But the tricky thing is that in American Sign Language, this is the sign for menstrual period. So confusing at the grocery store, if nothing else. So just keep that in mind. That's why what I'm going to teach you is the American Sign Language signs. If you're getting books and things like that, my suggestion is just that you use the American Sign Language signs. All right, I'm seeing some comments. I'm going to see what I got. Let me see if there's any questions. At my college, while I was there, we gained an ASL major minor program. That's wonderful. A lot of my friends were in the program. I was able to learn a lot about ASL and science. I even got to participate in Deaf for a Day. That sounds fun. Yeah, it really is. It's a wonderful community for sure. And it's just so neat. I mean, we use it in our house, right? We just use it every day. It's such a fun way to engage. My kids, everything from my kids are in the Taekwondo class and they're acting out, or the dance class behind the glass, right? And you can't see them, but if you can catch their eye, you can tell them to stop, sit down, pay attention, or whatever it is they need to do, without calling them out. Or they're doing like the pee-pee dance, and you can just tell them, go to the bathroom, without having to yell out. It's a fun way to connect to kids. You can incorporate music. Singing and signing is lots of fun. It is not an ideal way to introduce signs to children, adults. So I introduced this whole thing with singing with a song, right? Signing with a song. But with children, singing and signing, totally fun, awesome. Just not the best way to introduce the signs. Ideally, when you're introducing signs, you're going to have props. You're going to have stuff, right? That's how they're going to make the connection a little bit more quickly. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But yes, you can incorporate music and make it lots of fun. Again, you can engage in books and make them active participants rather than passive listeners. You can chat across the room. Like if my husband and I have a sore throat or something, you can just turn off your voice and use your signs. He mostly knows the curse words, so that makes it a little complicated. I'm kidding, he knows a lot, but he especially knows the curse words. It's a discreet way to communicate, right? Again, like I said, you can communicate with your kids, or like it was helpful at church to be able to talk to my kids without making a ruckus. So anyway, lots of benefits to using American Sign Language. Do you have any questions about any of those benefits? Please feel free to put them in the comments if you do. If not, I'm just going to keep on going. Okay, so let's do another song just to loosen you up again and get ready to get your hands warmed up. Okay, so the sign for I, just point to yourself. I love, crossed over your chest like this, mommy. So it's a sign, the 5 hand with your thumb to your chin. I love mommy. Yes, I do. Mommies are for hugging. So love is just crossed in front and hug is a grab. And I see your question, and I will get to it in a moment, Amanda. Mommies are for hugging. I love you. Okay, so this is to the tune of Farajaka. It's a pretty easy back and forth. So mommy's on the chin, and daddy is on the forehead. Daddy's up here. Okay, so I love mommy. We'll sing that one, and then we'll sing I love daddy. And we'll say daddies are for playing. You can put any words you want in here. Okay, already ready? To the tune of Farajaka. I love mommy. I love mommy. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Mommies are for hugging. Mommies are for hugging. I love you. I love you. The daddies? I love daddy. I love daddy. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Daddies are for playing. Daddies are for playing. I love you. I love you. Good job. And you can put any word you want in there, right? You can, once I was in the car with my daughters and I said, I'd say, we were singing about Poppy. It was like, we love Poppy. Okay. Oh, and what's Poppy for? That's what I said. And I said, my littlest goes, whatever Mimi says. It was just funny. So it's also a really great separation anxiety song. So if you, whenever my husband would go to work and they were sad that he was leaving, he'd say, oh, you love daddy so much, let's sing about him. So we'd sing I love daddy, and then we'd say, who else do we love? We'd sing about the dog, we'd sing about Elmo, we'd sing about grandma, whatever, to get their mind off of whoever just left. So that was really beneficial too. Okay, Amanda, let me see what your question was. Any recommendations for when a toddler uses the wrong sign? My 15-month-old signs more for both more and milk. Yeah, no, that makes sense. If you continue to model it correctly, eventually she will be able to pick it up. The tricky thing with the sign for more is that it's abstract, right? So it's very abstract. So as often as possible, if you can connect the sign more with a concrete thing, so whether it's more milk, more singing, it's like you're directing a chorus in your arm, more singing, more food, more milk. So connecting the sign for more with something concrete will help them make the connection for the sign for more. If she's just signing, or he, I'm not sure, I'm sorry. If your child is just signing more, maybe ease up on signing more and sign the concrete things more often, right? So every time you sit down to eat, sign eat. Every time you go to the bathroom, you sign potty. Every time you change a diaper, you sign change and the diaper. We'll do that one in a minute too. So if you're rolling a ball back and forth, you sign ball. You could sign more balls, but or more singing even. I'm trying to think of how else I can be helpful there. The thing they're going to pick up more, well, the thing they're going to have more of a connection with is the concrete stuff. The abstract things like more sometimes take a little more to be specific, right? So they can generalize. I know I sign more, and mommy gets excited and gives me more of whatever I'm doing. So that's totally fine, and that's a start. But if you want them to sign the concrete things, I'd make sure that I was signing more of the concrete things than I was signing more. Does that make sense? The other thing, God bless you. The other thing was if, and we'll talk about this, well, I'll save that for mealtime. I hope that answered your question. Did that help at all, Amanda? So when a toddler uses the wrong sign, what do you do with that? So just continue to model it correctly. Eventually, they'll be able to pick it up. If they're consistently using, say, more instead of something specific, I'd ease up on the more and do the more concrete thing more regularly. Okay. And so people always ask about hand over hand. Hand over hand is okay if the child is receptive to it. If they're fighting it, I wouldn't force it or at least prolong it hand over hand, because that was my dog. Sorry. She's like, stop talking. If they're pushing away when you're trying to do hand over hand, if they're not liking it, it's not going to be fun for them. They're not going to enjoy it. They're not going to want to communicate with you that way. So my suggestion, if you are doing hand over hand, I used hand over hand when I needed the child to be successful, right? When I needed to end on a positive note. So even if I wanted them to sign eat or whatever, and they were having a hard time, I'd just take their hand and put it near their mouth and be like, you signed eat, that's wonderful, and then end it there, so that we could end on a positive note. But you can totally do hand over hand if you would like to do that, if you feel like they're having some processing issues and they, don't get it. The reason I hesitate is, so in learning music, the studies have shown that if you do hand over hand to help a child keep a beat, it's detrimental to their learning to actually keep a beat. I don't know if that transfers over to sign language or not. They haven't done studies on it, as far as I know. But so for keeping a beat, instead of using their hands, you would sort of tap on them, right? So tap on them to keep the beat instead of moving their hands to keep the beat. For signing, I will sometimes help a child to do it, but just don't do it a lot. Don't do hand over hand a lot, because you want them to be able to do it themselves. I hope that answered your question. Did we already sing? We sang, right? I love mommy. Yeah. Okay. Who benefits using American Sign Language? Obviously the deaf community. Children and adults with speech and language delays can benefit. People with various medical conditions, even just a sore throat, as well as other throat issues and things like that. Pre-verbal, typically developing children also benefit. Verbal, typically developing children also benefit. Teachers in the classroom settings for sure benefit. Parents and caregivers for sure benefit. Um, Now, why would somebody use American Sign Language either instead of or in addition to um, some other kind of communication device? So boards or PECs or things like that. Whatever works for the child, do it. If you want to incorporate sign language as well, I think it's beneficial for a lot of reasons. One, it doesn't take grant money to buy, except for to watch, a video or something. There's no updates on technology. There's no objects to carry. There's nothing to drop in the toilet or the bathtub. Um, there's nothing to forget to bring with you or to lose. There's no batteries, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's helpful in that way for including American Sign Language in whatever means of communication you're using. Okay, we have a quick question. Can you do the sign for need? Sure. So it's a pointer finger, and you bend it like that, pointed forward. Need. Okay, so we're doing a lot of the talking now, but then we're going to get into a bunch of the signs in a minute. Okay, so when should you start? Best time to start signing is at birth. The more they see it, the easier it will be for them to pick it up. That being said, the studies show that children between 5 and 7 months can understand the signs, and between 7 and 10 months can actually sign back. That's on average. I've seen 5.5-month-olds sign. I've seen 2-year-olds not sign. So it all depends on how consistently they're seeing the signs, their interest, even their motor skills, their cognitive skills, all of these things wrapped up together, right? So, so that 5 to 7 or 7 to 10 months is on average. So just keep that in mind. If a child is pointing, they're already communicating. All you have to do is give them the signs, and they'll pick it up pretty quickly. When their gazes are meeting yours, that being said, their gazes don't always have to meet yours. There's a lot of kids who are successful with American Sign Language, but some are not. Right? It all depends on their interest. It depends on. Oops, sorry. There's more stuff going on over here. There we go. It depends on their interest. It depends on how consistently they're seeing the signs, and their motor skills. Like I said, all of that. Okay, I'm gonna keep going so we can get to the fun stuff. Some just basic tips and techniques. Making eye contact as much as possible. You're not always gonna make eye contact. That's okay. I'd still sign because it'll be helpful, one, for you to practice, right? Two, they'll see it peripherally, and they'll understand more that you're using your hands to communicate, and they could do that too. Be patient, repetitive, and consistent. So not only patient with the child, but also with yourself, because it's hard to remember. One, it's hard to remember to do the signs in the middle of whatever you're doing. And two, it's hard to remember then, if you do finally remember to do the signs, you forget what the sign is. It gets complicated. So be patient with yourself and with them. Be repetitive. That's how we're all going to learn. Do it again and 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 again. This is the sign for again. Again and again and again and again. That's how we're all going to learn it, even when it feels dumb. So like if you're sitting there rolling a ball back and forth with a kid, so you roll the ball to the kid, they pick up the ball, you sign ball, they drop it, they bite it, whatever, and then you pick up the balls, they ball, and you roll it back to them, and it feels kind of silly to do that so repetitively, but that's how they're going to learn it. So just keep doing it, go with it. Because often what happens is, when they drop the ball or they pick it up and eat it, they start looking at you, and you say, "Get the ball." So when they make that eye contact, especially make sure that you're signing the sign. And then do it consistently as possible. So encouraging families to sign eat every time they sit down to eat. Whether it's them eating or the child eating. If somebody's eating, you sign eat. It'll help the child make the connection much more quickly. And be open to those approximations. So the sign for horse, again, is like this. That's hard. It's hard to get those 2 fingers up there. So they're going to kind of do this or do this. And that's okay. Be open to those approximations. You don't have to fix it. Just continue to model it correctly and say, "Oh, it looks like you're signing horse. It goes like this." Right? So that's what I suggest about those approximations. Again, you don't have to correct it. Just continue to model it correctly. And some people will sort of adopt the signs that they come up with, and that's fine. If that works for you, then go for it. Just keep in mind that whatever you do is what they're going to continue to do. So just like I think it's cute when kids say Paschetti, right? But I don't call it Paschetti because I want them to learn the correct words, so I continue to model it correctly, right? And because American Sign Language is a standard language, if they go from caregiver to caregiver, ideally many of those signs will be similar. or at least pretty consistent across the board. So that's why I like to use American Sign Language signs while I'm doing it. And again, using those signs in daily life, so every time you sit down to eat, every time you play, every time you listen to music, those kinds of things using it in their daily life will help them to generalize the signs. So using signs for more, not only when you eat, but also when you're singing or when you're dancing or when you're tickling them or whatever. Using them in different contexts will help them to generalize the sign as well. Okay? All right, how are we doing? Any questions? All right, and we'll keep going. So before I show you all these signs, I wanted to remind you of a couple things. There are a couple things that will change the meaning of the sign. So for instance, my hand shape makes a difference, right? So if my hand is like this on my chin, it's what? Mom, right? But if it's a W on my chin, that's what? Water, right? Okay, so just that I'm doing it in the same place and this basically the same movement, but my hand shape changed, so it changed the meaning of the sign. Okay. Another thing is palm orientation. Which way are my palms facing when I do the sign? So if let's say the sign for today or now is like this. That's so funny. Everything's backwards on my computer, so I'm trying to even out. So today, right, or now. But if you flip it, it's stay. So that palm orientation changes the meaning of the sign as well. My palms are up, it's today. Palms are down, it's stay. Okay. Same with like mine is a palm toward myself, but yours is a palm towards you, right? That one kind of makes sense, but keep that in mind too. So palm orientation changes the meaning. Obviously the placement on your body, where you put the sign. So if I do it on my chin, it's mommy, right? If I do it on my head, it's daddy. So that placement changes the meaning of the sign as well. And the other thing is movement. How are your hands moving? So the sign for play is thumbs and pinkies, right? Play. Now the same hand shape, but different movement changes the sign. So today, play. Palm orientation, stay, right? So you can stay, today, and play. And all that is the same hands, but different palm orientation, different movement. Does that make sense? So just keep those in mind. You don't have to like remember those things. Just keep it in the back of your head as we go over all these different signs. And I say, make a 5 and put it on your chin, right? Okay. Hand shapes. I'm just going to show you these real quick. So this is the letter B. This is a bent B. So if I say make a bent B and put it to your head, this is the sign for to know something. This is an open B because this is a regular B. So you open it up with the thumb out. This is a C. If you can see that here, C. A modified C is just like this. So if I say any of these words, I just want you to know what I'm talking about. So this is an O, right? It's O, but it's forward generally. If you flatten it, that's a flat O, like more. This is a V, but if you bend it, it's a bent V. And this is a 5. This is a bent 5. I usually call this a claw. So just as we go through some of these signs, I wanted you to know that. I'm going to show you the manual alphabet. You might already know it. You might not. Some people are like, why would I need to know a manual alphabet? You don't need to, but it's a nice thing to know. So I'm gonna sign it quickly through once, and then you can just replay it later if you want. Okay, so A is the thumb on the side with this. B is 4 fingers up and the thumb in the middle. C looks like a C. Let's face forward. D, I'm gonna turn it so you can see. D, 1 pointer finger up. E, so some people put their fingers on their thumb for E, and that's totally fine. Many people pull it back, so it's like that. I can't seem to turn the right way. E, F, like feathers, right? So a lot of people get D and F confused. D is like a dog's tail, if that helps you, and then F is like feathers. Okay, so F, G, it's like you're holding a grape. So your thumb is kind of parallel behind your pointer finger. That's G. It's like you're holding a grape. H is 2 fingers. Same otherwise. I is a pinky with your palm out. J, just sort of the I, but you swoop it like you're drawing a J. K is a little trickier. So 2 fingers up. I can't seem to put it in the front of me. Sorry. So K. And then you take your middle finger and kind of touch both knuckles at the same time if you can. right? So K. K, can you see that? K. L. M is 3 fingers over your thumb. N is 2 fingers over your thumb. O. Looks kind of like an O. So M and N, just if it helps you. So an M is 3 fingers over your thumb, like a cursive M has 3 bumps, and a cursive N has 2 bumps, right? So if that helps you. And then O. P is just like K. There you go, K. Except you plop it down. My husband remembers P by actually sticking his thumb through. Everybody's got their something. So P. P. Q is just like G, but you point it down. It's like you're putting a quarter in a slot. So I don't know if you can see my hand here, right? Q. Well, you don't have to move it down. That's me putting the quarter in the slot. So Q. R is like a rope wrapped around itself. S is a fist with your thumb in front. T. Got your nose. I don't know why that's T. Well, I guess it kind of looks like a T, right? There and there. T. U. 2 fingers up and together. V. Spread them apart. W. Looks like a W. X is just like need, the sign for need we spoke about earlier. It's just that pointer finger like that. X. Y. Looks like a Y. And then Z, just draw Z with your pointer finger. All right? I'm going to sing it. I'm going to sing it slow. Please join me if you can. All right, ready? Let me see if I can get in front of myself. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Ready? Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Or you do together. Hooray! Good job. Okay, all right. So I want to go over that just so you knew it. Take a moment and just practice your own name if you can. I wish I could share my screen. I'm sorry. If you can remember the signs, practice your own name. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So think for a moment about the last thing you ate or your favorite food, whatever that might be. So think about a food, any food you want. And think about how if you were communicating with somebody else who didn't know your language and you wanted to express to them this food that you wanted, how would you communicate that? If you didn't know the sign, if you know the sign, pretend you didn't. How would you communicate that sign to somebody else? And not using finger spelling that we just did, but you had to, so say, like I would probably eat pizza like this, right? I'd try and communicate pizza, but yeah. Anyway, so try and figure out how you would communicate something. So I'll give you a second to do that while I take a sip of water. Okay. I'm sorry we can't like share everybody's thing here, but everybody probably came up, so I'm sure some people had the same food, right? But everybody probably came up with a different way to sign it or communicate it. That's why I love American Sign Language, because it's a real standardized language. Some of the signs are very iconic and they make sense. Some of them not so much. So just keep that in mind as we go through. I'll try and give you little tips to remember why the signs are what they are, but there's not always one. But I'll do my best. So when a child is learning American Sign Language, they're also learning problem-solving skills. They're learning how to communicate something, right? So even if they don't have the sign for it, they're going to know that they can use their bodies to communicate. And I think that makes a really big difference. Apparently, my children stomp a lot, so I apologize for the stomping sound in the background. It's just, I don't know, just loud walkers. Anyway, so yes, when it's really helpful for problem solving in that way. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of food signs. We're going to start there. This is the sign for snack, eat, food. They're all the same thing, food. So it's just that sort of flat, kind of flattish O, really more like an O. Eat or food. More, we already know that one. So you tap the tips of your fingers together. This is a sign for more. Again, I'm going to say that the tricky thing about the sign for more is as often as possible, you want to connect it with something concrete. So it's more food or more any of the things that we're going to talk about. And I'm just going over the very basic foods. If you have specific foods that you really want to know, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to tell you whatever you need, whatever you'd like to know. But I'll tell you the basics to get started. So more. All done is another really good sign. All done, finished. I say all done because it's easier to say all done, and they'll pick up the spoken word quicker, done, than they'll pick up finished, right? So, excuse me. So, finished or all done and more. Those are important signs in general, not just with food. Excuse me. I feel very well, no worries. Anyway, okay, so yes, my suggestion for the signs with more and all done. I know I am very tempted, and most people are very tempted when they're sitting and eating with a child to say, do you want more or are you all done? My suggestion when you're introducing the signs is keep them separate, right? So give them more and sign more. And then when you're all done cleaning up, or you're in the process of cleaning up, say all done, so that they can make that connection between having more and being all done. Does that make sense? So it's really easy to just say, do you want more or are you all done? But if they don't have a way to communicate the answer, then they're not going to be able to connect being done with being done and having more with the sign for more. Does that make sense? So if you're eating, say, if you're feeding a baby and you have like your spoon in your bowl, and you're feeding them, I'd give them a couple bites and wait a second. Put probably down over here because of but put down over here a second and just wait. And wait for them to look at you like, oh, you want, or like, grunt at you somehow or express to you. They're communicating, express to you that they want some more. Oh, you want more food? More food. Oh, okay. And then you give them a couple more bites. Wait a second. So you're giving them that opportunity to express themselves. You don't want to frustrate them, but you want to give them that opportunity. You don't have to force them to say more. I wouldn't. I try not to be forceful on it because, again, you're just going to lose them. But if you're in like a therapy session or whatever, you kind of gotta. But but as often as possible, modeling it is the best way. And then giving them that extra second to know that they can communicate. So more food, right? And then give them another second. Put a couple Cheerios on their plate, whatever it is. Put a couple oranges, whatever. And then wait for them to express themselves. That expressive gaze is a perfect time to introduce a sign. So when they're trying clearly to communicate something to you, especially if you know what they're trying to communicate to you, you can give them the sign. So if they're reaching for their cup, reaching. Oh, do you want a drink? So the sign for drink, it's like a C, and you just take a swig. Drink. So yeah. So my suggestion, if a child is having some language issues, or even if not, if you just want them to understand that they can communicate to request things, if you put the cup just out of their reach so that they have to like reach and groan, you can say, oh, you want your drink? Oh, and then you hand them the drink. Pick up the drink, you can hold it near your mouth. Oh, you want your drink? Or your water? Or whatever you're telling. And then give it to them. Because generally, if you're holding it up by your face, they're going to look at your face and your sign as well. Okay? Berries. Yes, berries. So pointer finger, and then sort of an O that twists the berry off the stem. Okay? All right. So eat more crackers. I don't know really why this is a sign for crackers. I heard a story that they used to bake crackers in these big pieces, big chunks, and they'd have to break them on their elbow to bust them into pieces. I don't know if that's true or not, but if you knock on your elbow, that's the sign for crackers. Okay. Cheese. I've never made cheese, but you gotta like squish out the liquid, right? So it's like you're squishing out the liquid. 2 hands together. Cheese. Cheese. So let's go over some drinks. So drink. Milk, just like you're milking a cow, just not quite as exaggerated. Milk. Juice is a J just by your cheek. Juice. Some people will do juice drink. That's fine too, but juice. Water, we did that one where it's a W to your chin. Water. Milk, we did that one already. Coffee. So 2 fists is like you're grinding the coffee. So we have, in general, if you want to just talk about fruit, this is fruit. right? And then vegetables is a V, and you tap it and flip it. Vegetables, fruit. So again, remember, this is the letter F, like feathers. Put it by your cheek and give it a wiggle. That's fruit. And then veggies is a V that you tap and twist. Tap and flip, I guess. Apple, again, it's that first knuckle twisted into your cheek. Banana, pointer finger up, and you peel it. Banana. I'm not going to go too far into all the foods because I'm not sure how often you'll use those. But if you have specific questions, please put them in the comments and I'll try and get to them. Please. A flat hand on your chest in a circle. Please. And then thank you comes from your chin and out. Thank you. Good. And many people ask, well, how do you sign your welcome? You can sign thank you back. It's pretty much the same thing. People do it differently. Some people will sign welcome. Welcome. But this is more like welcome to my home, right? Welcome. But some people use that for your welcome also, and that's totally fine. So welcome. Or you can just sign thank you back. Okay. Any other foods that you want to know? Anything in particular? All right, we're just going to keep going. So we'll review those. We got eat or food, more, cracker, finished, or all done. Ooh, full. This one's full. So it's like I'm full up to here of food. The tricky part is you need to kind of know that they're full. So when you show them the sign, because again, that's more abstract than like food is, right? So if you know, if they're pushing stuff away, they're giving you their general clues that they're done. Oh, you can say, are you full? Looks like you're full. Okay. And then start cleaning up and say, all done. That's how I would suggest using that one. And then drink, juice, water, and milk, and coffee. Cookie, I didn't show you that one. So it's like you're taking kind of that bent claw thing, that bent 5, and turning it back and forth on a plate, or what's it called? Cutting board, whatever that thing's called. Tray? You know what I'm talking about. Cookie tray. There you go. Cookie. Apple, banana, and again, just generally fruit and vegetables. And please, and thank you. Good. Now, I love to sing, so I put songs to everything. And the best is when you can put a song to something that you have the props for or the stuff for. So the song, This Is the Way, this is the way we, you can put anything to that, right? So this is the way we ask for milk, ask for milk, ask for milk. This is the way we ask for milk when we use our signs. So signs is just 2 pointer fingers and you go back like that. Sign language, but you can just do signs. This is the way we ask for juice, ask for juice, ask for juice. This is the way we ask for juice when we use our signs. And again, I'm just keeping it simple. I'm not putting all of the words in there. Or this is the way we ask for more, ask for more, ask for more. This is the way we ask for more when we use our signs, right? So again, you can put any word you want in there. Okay, I'm going to skip that. I don't know what the rules are about playing songs over Facebook Live. So I'm going to skip one of these songs and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so health and body. So body, you just sort of tap your chest and your belly. Body. Diapers. If you can see this, pretend I'm at my hips, which I'm kind of at my hips. This is diaper. So two fingers and a thumb like this, but at the little tabby things on a diaper. So that's a sign for diaper. Change, if you put one hand on top of the other, and that first little knuckle technically is up, and you flip it over. So one on top of the other, and then flip it. Change. So change, a diaper. I use change more often than I use diaper, actually. If I sign diaper, it would be on them. Because they were usually up on the changing table, so I would sign diaper on them. Toilet or potty or bathroom, whatever words you use, it's that letter T, and you give it a shake. So every time if you're a parent, every time you go to the potty, you sign potty. Every time they have to go to the potty, you sign potty. Just quick tip. So my oldest she did a great job with potty training, and it was just sort of by chance. She pooped in the tub 4 days in a row, and on the 5th day, she looked like she was about to start. I'm like, come on, kid, I'm sick of figuring this out. So I picked her up, and I put her on the big potty when I saw she started working at the time. So I put her on the big potty. She pooped a ton and felt much better. So I was super excited. I was like, okay, we'll do this more. So then every time I changed her diaper, I'd put on the potty. I'd sign potty. she was little. She was only 7 months, so I was holding her. It was kind of nerve-wracking to hold her with more, I couldn't leave her up there, is what I'm saying. And I didn't have a little Potty because I wasn't planning on doing this. And so I would sign Potty, and then afterwards I'd sign Poop. So Poop is thumbs up, and it falls out like this. Poop. It's a good sign. Pardon the words if you don't like those words, but you can use whatever words you use. But this is the sign for Poop. And yes, it is. It is a good sign. So if you can see a kid working on it, you want them to make the connection between this sign and working on it, so that they can tell you later when they're working on it and they need to go to the bathroom. So that's really helpful. So anyway, so I continue to, every time I changed her diaper, sometimes she'd pee when I changed her diaper, and I'd sign P. So to pee or to urinate is the letter P, like this. So P is like this, but you take your middle finger and you tap it on your nose. If you tap twice, it's penis, just so you know. But it's okay, you can still tap, and don't worry about it. So Poop is a good one. But in general, you might not have to worry about that as much. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly in your jobs what you need to do. But change and diaper. You can just do change if you want. You can just do diaper if you want. Potty, toilet, bathroom. Water, if we need to go to the water to wash our hands. So wash hands is just like you're rubbing your hands together. Wash hands. Important these days. Bubbles. So pointer finger and thumb, just pop, 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 pop. You wiggle them around. Bubbles. I was telling them to make bubbles. The sign for clean. So after they wash their hands, they're all clean. So it's just one swipe of your hand, like you're wiping the slate clean. Dirty is wiggly fingers, like this underneath your chin. Dirty. Dirty. And I always make like a face. And usually I use that sign most when they were like sticking their hand in the garbage or eating off the floor or whatever. It's dirty. And then clean. And then wet. It's like a soaking sponge. Wet. Kind of like this. Wet. Wet. And dry. I don't know why that's a sign for dry. I imagine they're like drooling and you're waving it off like this. If that helps, I don't know. But that's dry. Body stuff, if you get hurt. So 2 pointer fingers pointed together and you twist on like 2 nerve endings. Hurt. And then you put that on your body wherever it hurts. So if your head hurts, if your belly hurts, if your throat hurts, if your teeth hurt. The teeth hurt is a good one. It's just you have to know what's hurting for them to understand the sign to make the connection. So that kind of sometimes makes it tricky. But so change diaper, toilet or potty, bathroom, water, we know that one. Wash hands, bubbles, clean, dirty, wet, and dry. And then hurt if something hurts. So it's your. That's it, buddy. I'm sorry, I'm like this, right? They actually point together. If I would just look at my hands, I'd do it right. So hurt or pain, and again, put it on your body wherever it is. Any other things? I want to know a little bit more about where you guys are coming from and what you're doing with the kids that you're working with, so that I can make sure I'm telling you things that are useful. So please feel free to comment on whatever it is you want to comment on. Okay, so a couple of other tips. The best ways and times to introduce the signs, again, as often as you can, right? And as many people as you can get on board, family members, grandmas, grandpas, whoever's with a child, consistently or even not, the more people that can use the signs with a child, the quicker they'll pick it up. There's a challenge in getting the parents to use it. If you're a teacher, I did developmental therapy for a little while. So just, that is a challenge, but the more people you can get on board, the quicker the child's going to learn it, the easier it's going to be for them. Exactly. So someone said I've used hurt for when friends hurt each other, they slap or hit. Is that the same? Yes, exactly. So you can say, oh, they got hurt, right? Right. So if you see somebody else fell down and bonked their head, or if somebody else is slapping somebody else or whatever, you can say, oh, that hurts them. So if one kid slapped another kid, you could say to the slapper on the slappee, that hurt them, right? So you can sign hurt on the one who's been slapped or whatever, right? The one who's hurt, they got hurt, or at least toward them. Because a lot of times if you're talking with a kid over here and somebody gets hurt over there, somebody's dealing with it, but you can say, oh, yeah, they got hurt. You just sign like that. So yes, it is the same thing. And how do you teach help? So the sign for help is a fist with a your palm underneath that fist and you give it a boost. That's a sign for help. Technically, the movement matters too. If I'm moving it towards you, I'm offering you help. If I'm pulling it towards myself, I'm requesting help. So how you introduce that sign, so my nephew was a headbanger and a biter. So the headbanging really came in when he was frustrated with something. So if he was trying to open a container or get his little guy out of the thing or whatever, and he was having a hard time, he would just whack himself in the head. So we don't want this, right? This is not what we want. So we taught him the sign for help. So we'd get between, when we see him start to get frustrated, we'd get between him and the thing that he was feeling frustrated with, and we'd say, help. Do you need some help? Let me help you. We'd help him do the thing. And then eventually, after he saw that many times in a row, he'd get frustrated, and then he'd turn around and go, ha, ha. So help. Or if they're working on something and they're having a hard time, whatever it is, whatever it is they need help with, or whatever it is that you do to help them. So like if you're helping them tie their shoes, or you're helping them get something unstuck from under the couch, or whatever it is, you can, before you help them, sign help, and then get it for them, and then you can sign help again. So they'll eventually make that connection when you help them. They'll associate it with that sign. Okay, does that make sense? We did that one. Okay, so 3 ideal times to introduce signs. One is that expressive gaze we talked about. So like if you give them a couple Cheerios or whatever, and they're like moaning and groaning at you and reaching forward, that's called an expressive gaze. They're already expressing themselves. Now you just have to give them the sign for whatever it is. So yeah, if you blow bubbles and they're looking at you like, come on, lady, blow more bubbles. Oh, you want more bubbles? That's a perfect time to introduce a sign, because they're often looking at you, trying to communicate or express themselves. Another one is a chance mutual gaze. You're just sitting there playing on the floor and you happen to pick up a book and you show them the sign for book, right? So palms together and then open for book. Let me see, I have some things up here I can see. Okay, I'll get to that one in just a second. So that's a chance mutual gaze. You don't have to worry about what it's called, but just you happen to be sitting there, you look at each other and you show them the sign for whatever you have, or a ball, or toys in general is the letter T, and you have 2 of them and you shake them down here. If you shake one up here, what's that, remember? That's toilet. But if you do 2 down here, it's toys. Okay. So the other one is a pointed gaze, and this really is like one of the best ways to introduce signs. I think it's the most fun, at least, for sure. But if you, and so let's say daddy hides behind a door, or whoever, somebody hides behind the door, and then daddy pops out, and you and the child are sitting next to each other, and you both look at daddy and then look back at each other again. That's the perfect time to introduce the sign for daddy. So you're playing with the kid, daddy pops out, you both look at daddy, and you sign daddy, and you look at the child looks at you, and you sign daddy, right? The dog walks in the door, the dog barks real loud, whatever, you both look at the dog and look back at each other again. It's the dog, right? Or a book falls off the shelf, whatever, and you both look at the book and say, it's the book. Another good way to sort of set that up is to take a blanket and stick anything you got under the blanket. So you're putting a ball under the blanket, you're putting a truck. This is a sign for truck. There are many signs for truck. This is the one that I use. There's truck, there's truck, there's truck. I use truck like this. Okay. So you put a truck under the blanket and you say, where's the truck? So where is a point your finger back and forth. It looks like, but it's not. It's where could it be? It's like a little, I imagine the Microsoft little, what's it called? Magnifying glass. So where could it be? It's somewhere around here. Where's the, what did I say? Truck. So you hide the ball under the truck, or under the blanket, or the truck under the blanket, or whatever. Let the child watch you put it under the blanket. And depending on their age, you could also be working on object permanence when you do this sort of thing. But you put an object under a blanket and you say, where's the whatever ball? Where are your shoes? Whatever you want to teach them the sign for, stick it under a blanket and then pull it out, because they're going to look at the thing that you just pulled out and then they'll look at you. And that's the perfect time to introduce the sign for the thing that you just brought out. So I had a friend who said, she sent me a message and said, I'm so excited about the blanket thing. I bring the blanket to lunch. And we put everything under the blanket and we pull the blanket out. She said, that's really how I think my kid learned a lot of the signs. So, okay, so expressive gaze, they're expressing themselves. Give them a sign, right? Show them the sign for whatever it is that they want, if you know it. Chance mutual gaze, you just happen to look, be playing together, look at each other, show them that sign. A pointed gaze is when you pull something out of something, or somebody pops out from somewhere else, and you both look at the thing and then look back at each other again. That's the perfect time to introduce the sign for whatever just popped out. of the blanket or behind the door. Okay. So how do you teach upset? So upset is, this is upset. It's kind of more like an upset stomach, right? My tummy's turned. So upset. You could also do sad. Sorry, this is crying. So you can say they're crying. He must be sad. Or grumpy. Or angry. If you do just one hand, it's mad. If you do two hands, it's angry. This is grumpy. This is upset. So you could use it for that. But I would use this probably more like my stomach's upset. But I think people also use it for I'm just upset in general. Okay. Keep asking the questions, please, please, please. Okay, what else we got? I'm gonna do some more safety signs. So safe is crossed arms like this. Safe, not up here because this is love, right? But out from your body. Safe. So stop is a really great sign. It's really handy. You can make it as emphatic as you need to make it, right, without hurting the child, which is handy. You can be frustrated and not hurt anybody. We did hurt. So funny. I need to do my mirror view or whatever because it's throwing me off. Help. We talked about that one. Help. And again, I'm offering to help and I'm requesting help, but don't stress about that. You can just sign help. And again, getting between them and the thing when they seem frustrated, showing them the sign for help. The more often you can do that, the quicker they'll make the connection between the sign and needing help and be able to express that. Pay attention. So like, eyes up here, come on, look at me. Pay attention, get your attention this way, or to the floor, not to the floor. I just saw my dog falling off her bed in the background. Pay attention to your work. Pay attention to whoever's talking, whatever it is. Gentle. So gentle is just like a pet. So gentle touches. So if they're working together and they're whacking each other, you say, oh, gentle touches. Right. Wait is a really good sign. So if you take your wiggly fingers and move them in a circle, I don't know if you can see this. Wait. Wait. So it's a great sign. Like they're waiting to wash their hands or they're waiting to whatever. They're waiting for their food, whatever it is. Wait is a really good sign. If they're signing it, it's getting them moving, and that's really helpful too. So they can sign it while they're waiting. Slow is like you go up your arm, slow. If they're starting to run around, you tell them to go slow. Or if it's time to go fast, you tell them fast. So it's fast is like you're pulling triggers. Essentially, that's what I'm like I'm shooting them, is what the 3-year-olds say. Sort of, I guess, but fast is like this fast. Like reins of a horse on a, fast. Sit. I think we did that one. Stand. If you want them to stand, it's like 2 feet on your palm. If you jump them up and down, that's jump. If you wiggle them back and forth, that's dance. So stand, jump, dance. Not that those are safety signs, I guess, unless you're doing the safety dance. That's different. Okay. Yes is a fist, and you nod it, like in our song. And then no is 2 fingers. Can you see them? No is like this. 2 fingers, like zip it. No. It's like an N and an O sort of mushed together. No. Hot. So a bent 5 to your mouth, and you pull it away. Hot. Cold. It's like burr, you feel cold. Safe, we did that one. Or it's not safe. Or you can just shake your head. It's not safe. That's okay too. Careful is 2 Ks, and you put them on top of yourself, like on top of each other. Careful. So let's go over those again. So we have stop. And again, when they're in the middle of something they're not supposed to be doing, sometimes you have to like stop the thing and then tell them stop. If they're running into the street or they're hitting a friend, stop them and then sign stop. Hurt, again, if you are hurt, you can put it on your body wherever you're hurting. If somebody else is hurt, you can show the kid that somebody else is hurt. You can ask for help, or they can ask for help. Again, between them and the thing, show them the sign, whatever they're getting frustrated with, show them the sign for help. Pay attention. Gentle is like a pet. Gentle touches. Wait. Wiggly fingers in a little bit of a circle. Wait. Gotta go slow. Or now you can go fast. Where do we go? Sit. Stand. Jump. Dance. Yes. No. Hot. the best way to introduce hot, I would take a washcloth and I'd dip it into the water and it would be cold. And I'd hand it to my daughter and I'd be like, it's cold. Or if we were in the grocery store, I'd give her the frozen veggies. Or if we were, at the what's it called, the rotisserie chicken, I'd say, that's hot. I'd hand her the freezer vegetables and I'd say, it's cold. So I'd give her a cold washcloth and then I'd say it's cold. And then I'd put it in the microwave for like 5 seconds and it'd come out like steaming. So I'd hold it. I'd be like, oh, it's hot. It's hot. And then I'd wait a second and I'd put it up to my cheek and I'd be like, oh, it's warm. So warm is like your warm breath coming out of your mouth. Warm. So then I'd hand it to her. I'd say, oh, it's warm. And I'd give it to her to like wash her face off. Okay. Where are we? Safe or it's not safe or not safe. And then careful. Those are good safety signs. Okay, so just more information. There's like what they call 6 stages of signing. The first one is amusement. I'm being silly. This is funny. Mommy's or whoever the adult is wiggling their hands around, and this is funny. So that's what it'll be at first. And then it turns into, hey, wait a minute. When she does this, I get milk. So they'll understand the sign before they'll be able to do it. So you sign milk and they look over at the bottle, or you sign ball and they look over at the ball, or something like that. So they'll understand the sign before they'll be able to sign it back. And then they'll make attempts and imitations. So they'll practice in and out of context. They're playing with their hands. They're moving their hands around a lot more, right? And then they'll have their first sign. So it might be milk, or it might be more, right? And it may be sporadic. They'll like have it a day and then not have it a couple days and then have it another day and then not have it a couple days. But they'll be trying to make their first signs. And sometimes it's just the one thing, and sometimes they're just, trying lots of different things. And then oftentimes that one thing that they get, they'll use for everything. So some kids will do more and they'll just do more for everything. And you're like, I don't know what you want more of, kid. So sometimes that's tricky. That's why I suggest putting it with a concrete word so that they can make the connection between the two. Then, so if they have that one sign, but they're using it they're using it in the wrong context. So they're signing more diaper change, and they don't want more diaper changes. So you say, you want to be all done. I get it. So then their sign language will increase, right? They'll be using more signs. They'll point to stuff and like know that they can communicate with their hands. They'll start getting it right. They'll ask for milk when it's, time for milk, and they'll say more when they want more. It'll start making sense. And then it's like this, like signing eureka. They're like, I get it. So this is represented by that. I can request things. I can have a conversation even. And they may pick up signs after just seeing it one time. You'll be amazed what they'll remember, right? It happens so quickly. And sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. So for some kids, it's going to take months and months of seeing the sign before they'll actually be able to do it. For some kids, again, this all depends on how consistently they're seeing the signs, their age, their cognitive development, their motor development, all of it. But eventually, if you stick to it and a bunch of people in their lives are sticking to it, then they will be able to get the signs, probably. All right, so playtime signs. So this is play. We know that one, right? We already did where. So if you're asking where's the ball or where's the truck, where's the dog, I see her. The sign for run is kind of a weird one too. So it's 2 L's. You point them forward, and you grab one thumb with your pointer finger, and you kind of bop it. They also say, the 3-year-olds will also say, like, I'm shooting her. But yeah, so that's run. It's kind of like fast, but together. Run. Walk. Game. It's time to play a game. Game is like this. Oh, yes. So, sorry, just to go back for a second. So when using the sign for pay attention, be best for asking toddlers to listen. You can totally do that, like pay attention, yep. Or listen, you can do like this. So it's a thumb and 2 fingers with your thumb by your ear. Listen. That's fine too. Whichever one's easier for you. They're both, yes, totally acceptable. So game is 2 fists with the sort of top of your fists pointed together, thumbs up. Puzzle is those same 2 thumbs, except you're pushing the puzzle pieces in. Okay. Play, we know that one. Books, we talked about that one when you open the pages of a book. We talked about friends. So like if you have one child with you and then another little friend comes over, you can say, oh, it's your friend. Mm-hmm. If they share very nicely, that's a perfect time to show them the sign for share. So it's one palm on top of the side of your other hand like this. Share. So you can say, oh, that's like sharing. Or if they're not, you'd be like, oh, we need to share. Whatever, however you work that out. Outside, so if your fingers are open like this, and then you close them up. So outside, outside. This is the sign for in, like to take a ball and put it in a bucket. And this is the sign for out, so to take that ball out of the bucket. You can do the same thing for outside. That's totally fine. Some people will just will do outside like this, or to go out, even to go out on a date. Airplane, we talked about that one. So it's the I love you handshake. This is also how you sign I love you, right? It's the letter I, the letter L, and the letter Y all stuck together. So I love you. But if you take that I love you handshake and fly it through the sky, that's airplane. Okay. Little babies, not going to be able to do it. Even toddlers, they won't be able to do this. You probably can't do this till they're probably 2. Just fine motor skills wise. But they'll put a pointer finger up and do that. Or they'll go, love you. This is the cutest thing in the world. When my little daughter would say love you like that. Anyway, so got distracted. Reminiscing. She's 11. Okay. So airplane, bike. It's like this. Like you're riding a bike with your hands on the pedals. A bike. A boat. You just sort of make the shape of a boat. You see that okay? Boat. Train. 2 fingers, both palms down, and you rub them back and forth. Train. I think they're on the tracks. Throw, just like you're throwing. Throw a ball. And things can be big. In the deaf community, they go cha. That's so funny. I'm not sure why exactly, but that sound that is associated with big is cha. And little is like this. Little. So big and little or small. Jump, we did that one. Dance. Swing, so this is sit. If you're swinging on a swing, you go back and forth like this. Swing. If you're rocking, like in a rocking chair, it's just like sit, except you rock back and forth, as opposed to swinging that actually moves back and forth. Does that make sense? Music. So music and sing. Most people will just do this for music or song. If you want to talk about singing separately, you can do sing like this. But most people in the deaf community will just do this. And then again is a really good sign. So there's a difference between the sign for more and the sign for again, right? So if you're signing more, it's like I want more cookies or more kisses or more tickles or more balls or more singing, right? If you do again, it's I want that same song again, right? Or I want, so you can still do like tickles again, that'd be fine. But in terms of like a song, if I want more songs, I want more different songs. If I want that same song again, if you want to be able to distinguish, then that would be again. Okay. But yes, listen. If we're talking about other playtime things, listen. You could do pay attention if you want. Wait if they're waiting for their turn. Taking turns is a really good one. So if you take an L and you put it on your chest like this, that's my turn. If I put it towards the other person, it's your turn. If I'm talking to 2 kids over here, I'm going back and forth between them. That's take turns, right? So my turn, your turn. Okay, you guys take turns. So it's that same L that goes back and forth between their chests, essentially. You don't have to touch them, but you go between the 2 of them. Trying to think of what else. Slide. I don't know if you have playgrounds or whatever where you are, but slide. So it's like sit, but then woo, goes all the way down. Slide. Swing. And then rock. Just to review the ones we did. So we have where. Like, where's that ball? Or where are your shoes? Shoes is a good one too. So it's 2 S's and you tap them together. Shoes. Or your coat. Just like you're grabbing it and pulling it over your shoulders. Coat, hat. Okay, so we have where, run, like that, walk, game, puzzle, play, book, friend, share. It's like you have Cheerios in here and you're pushing some to one friend and some to the other. Share. As opposed to sing, which is on your whole arm, right? So sing and share. Outside. Let's go play outside. Do you hear the airplane? So here you just point to your ear. Listen is the like antenna listening out, right? And then here is pointing. And then airplane, bike, boat, train, throw, ball, big, little, jump, dance, music, and again. Okay. Let's do one more song quick. We're going to do Row, Row, Row Your Boat. I'm just going to show it so you know it. So row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. You show it going down the stream. Merrily, happily, merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is two L's that start on your belly and come up your chest. Life is but a dream. Okay, right? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Do it again. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Good job. I have a question for socks. Right, sorry, how did I forget socks? So shoes is two S's like this. Socks is pointer fingers pointing down at the ground and you kind of rub them together. If you do that same sign, same movement, but to the sky, it's stars. But socks if you point down. So like your knitting socks or pointing to your feet. Let's see. Okay, I think you can see. Okay. Make sure I'm not missing any others. Okay. Good question. So transition. So let's talk about some transition signs that are helpful. We already talked about a bunch of these, but finished or all done, right? So when you are completing an activity and you're actually all done, sign all done. So if you're blowing bubbles, blow the bubbles, you're putting the bubbles away, all done. You're reading a book, you finished reading the book, all done. We're outside, all done playing, outside, all done. Those kinds of things, okay? Listen, if it's time to listen or pay attention. Or you can say like, watch me. So it's like there are two eyes looking at you. Watch me. You can do that too, whichever feels right for you. Again, we talked about yes and no. And you want to nod your head for yes and shake your head for no, just like so they learn the natural gesture as well. So clean, I forget if I said this one already. Clean is like you're cleaning the slate, but clean up is clean, 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 right? So you do clean a couple times for clean up. So when you're all done with playtime, right, it's time to clean up. So clean up. Line up, if you have a group, I'm not sure how many of you have groups, but so make fours with both hands and put pinky to pointer, line up. Line up. Yep. Put on your coat, or your hat, or your shoes, or your socks. Again, we've talked about wait is a good transition when they're standing there in line waiting, wait. Ready is two R's, and you go in front of yourself, ready. So palms down, ready. Some people do it twice, that's fine. So ready to go. Go, like that. Are you ready to go? Let's go. Yep. Go outside, go home. So it's that flat O. It starts at your chin and goes to your cheek. It's like it's where you eat and sleep, so you kind of put it together. Home. Okay? So just a review, all done, listen, watch me or pay attention, yes, no, clean up, line up, you can see that, coat, hat, shoes, socks, wait, ready, go, outside, okay? All right, aggression intervention. So if kid's feeling angry, it's like you got all these feelings that are tearing out, it's like hulking out. So angry. And you want to make sure your face matches the sign, so it's not just like angry. It's angry, right? Or scared. So flat hands, just shaking in front of yourself. I'm scared. Sorry. Sorry is a fist in a circle. Please was a flat hand in a circle. Okay, so sorry. Stop. If there is hitting happening, you can tell them to stop. So I love stop, not just for telling a child to stop doing something, but to empower them to tell someone else to stop. So my nephew, like I said, he was a headbanger and a biter, right? So he'd bang his head if he was frustrated. We taught him the sign for help, and that helped with that. And then the biting thing. Like, so we tell him to stop. If we didn't catch it in time, we tell him to stop biting. Biting is like, right, like this on your hand. Stop biting. Or if we could catch it beforehand. So it's generally it was his twin sister who'd be bugging him. So she'd come over and like steal his toy or pull his hair or whatever. So whenever we saw her like go over to him, we'd get between him and her and say, "You tell her to stop, stop." So if she's bugging him, we told him to tell her stop. So my littlest also, the older one was a hugger, so she would just love on the baby, and the baby would be like, okay, enough. So we taught her the sign for stop. So she'd go, stop, be. So stop, please, is what her thing was. But she'd go, stop, be. And then she'd back off, give her a little space. So it's helpful to empower them also with a sign for stop. Gentle touches, we talked about that one. We talked about hurt. So like if somebody's hurting something else, you can go to the person that they're hurting and say, that hurts them. Or me, it hurts me when you whatever hit me or whatever. We talked about help. Hands is just like your Vanna White showing your hands. So keep your hands to yourself. So a thumb to whoever you're talking about. So if it's myself, it's a thumb on my own chest. If it's yourself, it's the thumb out there, or herself or himself, whatever. But hands to yourself. Okay, that's a good one. And we did wait, and we did slow, we did share, we did please, and thank you. Good. Sometimes it's hard in the middle of somebody hurting somebody else to use the signs, but if you can stop it and then use the signs, you got to stop. And hitting, you can like you're hitting your finger, or you can, if you want to say gentle touches, we use gentle touches here. That's good. Okay. All right. How are we doing? Any questions? Anybody? Please feel free to put them in there. All right. I'm gonna do a couple. I'm kind of gonna go through these kind of quickly, just because I'm not sure how much you'll use them. I might go a couple minutes after because I know I was all slow in the beginning there, getting myself together. Sorry. But we'll go through some basic colors. We'll do basic animals, and we did some of the emotions, but we'll look at those again. Okay. So the colors, the signs for colors are like this. Actually, can you put in the comments the age of the children that you're working with, just so I have a clue? Because if you're working with, toddlers and preschool kids, the colors will be helpful. If you're all working with babies, it might not be quite as helpful yet, but it will be eventually. So I'll still show you. But either way, if you don't mind putting in the comments what age group you're working with, that would be helpful. Okay, so the colors, wiggly fingers in front of your chin like this. Colors. We have red. So it's a pointer finger. It's kind of like you're pointing to your lip, if that helps you remember. Red. Orange. Same movement as milk, but it's up on your chin, like you're squeezing an orange juice into your mouth from the orange, right? So orange. So it's the same as the fruit as well as the color. Yellow is a Y and you shake it. Green is a G and you shake it. Blue is a B and you shake it. So many of these are pretty easy. They make kind of sense. Purple is a P and you shake it. White, it's like you're pulling the color out of your shirt. White. So red, not quite the same. Pink is a P kind of near red, so it's your middle finger on your chin. Remember, if it's to your nose, it's P. 2P. If you're touching your middle finger on your chin with the letter P like this, that's pink. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white, black, it's like a line across your, like a unibrow, black, and brown, and gray, mixing all the colors up. Okay. So some of those colors might be useful later for you, but yes. Okay, so some animals, if you put your hands on your shoulders like this and wiggle them back and forth, that's animals. So animals like pig. So dirty was a wiggly finger, pig is a wave. Okay. Sheep, it's like you're shearing a sheep, so 2 fingers sort of go up your arm like you're shearing the sheep. Cow, move my thing up a little bit. So cow is like this, where it's thumb and pinky up on the temple. Horse is 2 fingers up and together with your thumb and your temple, with a little wave of the fingers like a horse's ear. Duck is like this. I've also seen duck with 2 fingers. That's totally correct. It's just because both are correct, I do the 4 fingers because it's farther away from bird, which is just the 2 fingers, like your thumb and your pointer finger. So bird. Duck is all of them. Goose is actually 2 that pecks. It goes like this. Goose. They are a little peck. They peck a lot. So goose, bird, and duck. Now my suggestion is if you're introducing this to little ones, you put your hand in front of their face. So if they're sitting on your lap and their head's facing out, I would sign duck on their face or bird on their face. Most kids will sign bird backwards like this first and duck like this, or just kind of down here, but that's fine. But if they're doing it at their face, it's because that's how they see it. Just like babies wave by this way, because that's how they see it. But in order for them to turn their hand around, if you have them on your lap or in front of you facing outward, and you sign or wave, even just waving like this, or sign bird on their little head or duck on their little head, it'll help them understand that it goes that way. What else we got? Dog, I showed you, is a snap and a tap. Cat, it's like whiskers, like this. Cat. Some people do it with 2, but you only need to do it with 1. Cat. Let's just do farm animals. So we'll have pig, sheep, horse, cow. What else we got? Duck, bird, cat, dog. Goat is a funny one. So you either pull on like your goatee and then stick on your horns. It's like a double sign. Goat. I like that one. A lot of babies have that little giraffe, so feed the giraffe. So it's 2 C's, one on top of the other. Goes up like this. Elephant. It's like this big trunk coming out. Tiger. Draw the lines in your face. Zebra. You draw the lines on your body. So zebra, tiger, elephant, bear. So bears, you cross your arms and scratch your shoulders. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to some of the emotions. So feelings is like this. And again, the babies, although I gotta say, my daughter, she was about 9.5, maybe 10 months. And we were sitting there having breakfast, and my husband came down, and he was grumpy. He was just grumble, 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 grumble the whole time. And she looked up at me, and she went, "Daddy's grumpy." I was like, "Yes, Daddy is grumpy. You're right." Anyway, it was pretty funny. But she was really little, and she made the connection. So I used my signs all the time. So she was able to make that connection early. And I apparently was grumpy a lot, or somebody around me was. So we used it enough that she could get that sign. So it is possible for even little ones to get the whole feelings thing. But so grumpy, happy, sad, silly. Silly is a good one. It's a thumb and pinky on your nose like this. Silly. Shy. Shy. So the top of your hand is on your cheek and you kind of turn it up. Excited. So one hand is feelings. If you're excited, many, 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 many feelings. Frustrated is a good one. Just make sure your palm stays out. Frustrated. It's like you're walking into a wall. If you do it sideways, it's a different B word. But frustrated is like this. Frustrated. So happy, angry, grumpy, silly, shy, excited, frustrated, bored. That's a good one. I forget which thing is which. I'm trying to scroll down here. There we go. Okay. What else? Are there other questions? Talk to me about things that you guys really wanted to learn. Because otherwise I'm just going to review, and we're going to review all of the signs that we've done. So please think about it for a second. Think about the kids that you work with specifically and what would be most helpful for you, because I really want you to be able to see those signs. So brace yourselves. We're going to do all those signs as a review, okay? And I'm going to just a quick review about tips and techniques. So make sure as often as possible you're making eye contact. Even if you're not making eye contact, continue to sign. They'll see it peripherally and know that they can use their hands to communicate. You want to say the word as you sign because you want them to learn the spoken word as well as the signed word. Be patient with yourselves and with them because it's going to take a while. For some kids, they can pick it up pretty quickly. It depends on, again, like I said, age. It depends on cognitive development, motor skills, all of these things, how consistently they're seeing the sign. So an older child will be able to pick up a sign more quickly, generally. But if you've been signing, if you start earlier, they'll also pick it up more quickly. So it all depends on the children. But you want to be as repetitive, even when it feels silly. Repetitive. You want to do it again and again and again and again. Just like that's how kids learn, right? Through songs, books, all things. They want the same one again and again and again. That's how they're gonna learn it. And then consistency as often as possible. So every time you sit down to eat, get the families to sign eat. Every time you sit down to play, you sign play. Every time you're all done, you sign done. Again, done is a little more abstract, but if you do it consistently at the end of whatever activity you're doing, they'll make the connection that when she does this, we finish whatever we're doing. Okay. Be open to those approximations. So they're going to make, if this is horse, they're going to do this, and that's okay. It does not have to be perfect. It will, in the beginning, make it a little tricky to figure out what they're talking about sometimes. I was sitting there nursing my daughter once, and she sat up and she said, she went like this. No, she went like this. She went like that. And I was like, yeah, you're with mommy. That's right. It's a nice time. And she's looking at me like, what? She's like, no. And I was like, water? Because she kind of did water like that. I was like, you want water? And she's like, no. And I was like, truck? And she was like, yeah, truck. She just wanted to hold her truck while she was nursing. I was like, okay. So she held the truck. So sometimes you will have to, even when they do start signing, some of them look pretty similar coming from them. So you might have to deduce what's going on. But still, be open to those approximations and just give them the correct sign if you know it, if you can. Again, I'd suggest continue to model it correctly even when they make those approximations. When their motors catch up, they'll be able to do it. So for instance, my sister couldn't say the word truck. She substituted the F sound for the TR sound, right? So she'd see a truck coming down the street and she'd yell her version of truck. And my mom would be like, truck, it's truck, try it again, truck. And eventually, once my sister's motor skills caught up, she could say it correctly. So it's the same thing with signing. They're going to do it wrong, but just be open to those approximations and continue to model it correctly. And then using those signs in everyday life as often as possible to make it a natural and enjoyable process. It'll work much better that way. All right, ready? We're going to review. So I know we're pretty close to time here, but if you want to hang in with me for 5 more minutes, I will go through all these signs one more time in case you missed anything. All right, so mealtime, this is food or eat. More, cracker, it's like you're knocking on your elbow. Cheese, like you're squishing out the liquid. I don't know. Finished or all done. Finished. Some people will do all done like that. Some kids with autism will do all done just like that because they might stim here. So all done or all done. In the deaf community, they generally will do finished or all done like that. But that's also appropriate. So I did cracker. Oh, drink. Like water, juice, milk, coffee. Don't forget that one. What else do we have? Other foods like cookies and apples. I'm trying to think of what are the most common. Oh, berries. Someone asked about berries. Please. Thank you. Full. Banana. You're peeling it. Orange, just like the color or the fruit. And then we went on to health stuff like change a diaper. You can see my diaper down here. Diaper, but it's on your hips like this. Diaper. Potty or toilet. Clean and dirty. So clean is wiping the slate clean. Dirty is close to pig. I don't know which sign came first. Pig is a wave and dirty is a wiggle. Okay. Wet, it's like a soaking sponge. Dry, like you're wiping up their spit. Stop. And again, that can be used to empower them to communicate to somebody else as well as to tell them stop what they're doing. Hurt. So it's just 2 pointer fingers pointing together and twisting. It's like nerve endings. Ow, ow. And you can put it wherever it hurts. Like your head hurts, your belly hurts, whatever, your shoulder hurts. If your finger hurts, you can just do hurt and then point to whatever. That's fine too. Or if somebody else is hurt, you can show the hurt on them. Where do we go? Help. Give it a boost. Help. So get between them and the thing and sign help. Sorry is a fist in a circle, as opposed to please, which is a flat hand in a circle. Thank you. Wait. Give them a couple of seconds of waiting in that transition time. Pay attention or listen. What was the other? Or watch me. So you can do like all eyes on me, or you can just do like this, watch me. Gentle touches. So gentle is just like you're petting your hand, and you can say gentle touches if you want. Share. It's like you're pushing Cheerios from one side to the other. Share. Yes. No. Slow. Fast. Hot. So it's like you're taking a bite out of something, but whoop, it's too hot. Cold, like you're freezing cold. And then warm, like your warm breath coming out of your mouth. Warm. Oh, and safe, or not safe, or not safe. Okay. And then some playtime signs. We got where. Like, where's the ball? So again, you can hide that ball underneath a blanket, or whatever, hide a toy, anything underneath a blanket, and then pull it out and say, oh, and the baby looks at the ball and then looks at you again. That's when you show them the sign for ball. And if you can hold the ball, I don't have a ball near me, but if you can hold the ball while you're showing them the sign for ball, that's ideal. So for instance, whoops. I'll show you one of my animals here. So some of the animals, if you can hold them while you're showing them, like the sign for alligator, right? Sign for alligators like this. Or, what I got in here? Frog is a good one. Here's a cute little frog. Is that a frog or is that an owl? That's an alligator. Here's my frog. There's my frog. So frog is 2 fingers jumping out from your thumb like this. Frog, like his little blue frog. But you want to be holding the thing near your face or near your sign while you're doing it. Okay? Tiger. You can hold the tiger and show them tiger. Tiger. Or I would always like put it on my head and say tiger. So those are good ways to introduce those. Or again, if you're holding a ball, you're just signing ball. Or you're holding your water bottle and you're signing water or milk, whatever it is. Okay, so up and down. I don't know if they want to get picked up. But a natural gesture for up is like this, and that's fine. You don't have to correct it. But you can sign up or down. In and out. Play. Game. Book. Friend, like friends hugging. We did share. Outside. Airplane flying through the sky. Bike. Train. Line up. So transitions, if you have a group, line up. Put your coat on. Put your hat on. Or shoes. Or socks. Ready is 2 R's, front of your body. Some people do it twice. Ready to go. Again. Coat. Jump. Somebody's asking about inside. So inside would be like this. So in and out, but again, outside is like this, but going inside would be the same. So go in. Go in. To the class, if you want to say that. Or the house, whatever you're going into. But yeah, go inside. So at time, it's time to go in. That's how you could do that. Okay. We did coat, jump, dance. So this is sit, swing, ball, music, and then clean up. Clean, clean, clean. And then we had feelings like angry, scared, sorry, yes, no, stop, gentle or gentle touches, it hurts, help, hands to yourself, wait, we did these already, sorry, slow, share, please, thank you. Colors, wiggly fingers in front of your chin, like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white, black, brown, gray, and then animals, pig, sheep, cow, horse, duck, bird, dog, it's a snap and a double tap, cat, and then some of their feelings like happy, sad, or silly, grumpy, shy, excited, frustrated. I think that was a quick review of all of that, but how are we feeling? Can I get some feedback here? Is there anybody has any other questions, any thoughts, anything they'd like to share, any experiences that you already have signing that you'd like to share with the group? It might be that things are delayed, so I'm not sure about that. But I'm really happy that you all were here. If anybody has any questions, I think the link for the handouts, here, I'll just write it in here. If you go to signsoflearning.com, I think I spelled it right, signsoflearning.com, there is a members only link. So if at the top it should say members only, maybe if you're on the phone it might have like one of those 3 lines that you can drop it down. If you go to members only and click on that, and then what did I say so class handouts, all right, and then password is class handouts 20. Yeah. Oops, I almost pushed end. That wouldn't be good. Okay, so if you do go to the Signs of Learning website, go into members only, and then put in the password. There's a bunch of stuff there for you to check out. There's information on the research. There's information about, there's the signs, the pictures of the signs that we've done. Trying to think of what else I put on there. There's the songs, some of the songs that we did. We didn't do all those songs, but I put them there just in case you wanted them. But if anybody has any questions at all, please feel free to contact me. You can go to the Science of Learning website. That's probably the easiest way to do it. It's a new website, so there might be some glitches. I'm hoping I just moved it over and it wasn't 100% complete, but much of the stuff that's important at least is on there. So, but you can go to the contact page that my information's on there. It's info@signsoflearning.com. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Let me just make sure nobody wrote any questions in here. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm glad that you are all here. Love this. Thank you. Thanks so much. They'll be saving the video to the main page so you can review it again in the future if you need to. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to call me. I know this is kind of I don't know, it was awkward for me. It might not have been for you, but looking at myself is not my favorite thing. I wish I could have seen you. But anyway, again, feel free to call me. So the password is, it's written right above. It's class handouts with a capital C and capital H. Capital C class, capital H handouts, and the number 20. That's the password to get in to see the handouts, okay? And then I know that Amy posted the evaluation. If you're doing this for credit, I'm going to need that evaluation on there as well. And I think Amy's collecting the roster for me. But if you can fill out that evaluation, that's the only way I can get you the credits if I have that eval. Okay. So please feel free to give me a call if you have any questions going forward. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Bye. See you later. So this is later. The shorthand is just an L and you flop it forward. So see you later. I'm going to stay on here for another minute just in case anybody has any questions. Okay. So, but if you need to leave, goodbye. Oh, you're not seeing the link for the evaluation. Okay, let's see. If you scroll to the very top of the chat bit over here, the very first thing says, thank you all for joining. Please take a moment at the end of the presentation to complete the very brief survey. And there's a link to the survey. You can do that. It's a Google form. You can do that there, okay? Thanks. I'll post that again one more time down here at the bottom. Bye, everybody. See you later.